Hello loves, I know it's been quite a while since we've chatted and everything. I know, listen, I know, trust me, I do. I was actually sick, so if you guys watched my last video, which was a TBR takedown video, which was just a reading vlog of me reading stuff that was on my physical TBR, in the middle of the video, after finishing one of the books, I got really sick. And it wasn't just a 2-day thing. No, I was sick for the entire week. That video, when I had filmed right before I got sick, was on a Sunday. I did not get better until this Monday. It has been a week and 3 days, and I got sick, and I was just sick for a minute. So no content was able to come out because I couldn't do voiceovers. I couldn't even sit up. That's kind of how bad it was. It was painful for me to sit up and walk around. I was sick. Okay, so I did read the reading vlog where I fell sick after reading one of the books. I read 2 more books, but I barely talked in it, and the rest of the video was pretty short because when you're sick and you can't get in front of the camera and look presentable, I couldn't even talk to my family members. That's how bad it was. When you can't do that, it's kind of hard to film and to edit content you don't have and you're unable to make. There is a mess of cups behind me. Please ignore it. That's from when I was sick. I need to clean up. My room is a mess. I hate it. But guys, it's February. I know you guys really haven't spoken to me since January because the reading vlog, like I said, has been sitting in my drafts of stuff for a while. The whole part that was really difficult was making the thumbnail, because after I fell sick, your girl did not want to set up the camera, did not want to sit up. So making that thumbnail was what actually took it all, because you guys know when I do reading vlogs, I edit as I go. So the editing and the footage was not the problem because I was done recording and I was done editing. It was the thumbnail, because your girl didn't have enough good angles in the video to make a good decent thumbnail. So with that being said, I had to actually take a picture and then put to the video in the thumbnail. Could not set up to take the picture, and I did not look good. I did not look good enough to take a photo. But we're back now, and hopefully the consistency will be coming back. I have a lot of videos planned. We have a lot to talk about. We have a lot to do. I have videos to make. I have shorts to edit. I have shorts to do. Your girl is back, and that also means I'm coming back to my gaming channel. If you guys don't have the gaming channel, it's called the Pixel Princesses. I'm going back to my gaming channel as well. I have footage. I don't make my own thumbnails. The thumbnails I have to wait on, so it's really just the thumbnails for me, and after that I'm good. But I have to edit, and there was this video that was an hour long. That's supposed to be the next video that comes out. Hopefully I can get that out by Monday, but it's an hour long, and your girl was not locked in enough to do that. So hopefully we can do that over the course of this weekend. Today is Friday, so hopefully I can get that done by Monday. I did start on it. I'm 20 minutes into the video. Right. But today, that being said, because we just went on an entire yap session that has nothing to do with this actual video itself, I just want to give you guys a little explanation because you guys deserve to know where I've been. Today we're going to be doing my January reading wrap up, and girl, let me tell you, January was a good reading month. We read some good books. I enjoyed myself. We read a lot of books too to start off the year, which is always a good thing to read. Yes. So let's just go ahead and hop into it because your girl's been yapping for a minute now, haven't I? I know. So the first book that I read in the month of January was actually a 3-star. Unfortunately, we're going to talk about why. But it was Beg, Borrow, or Steal by Sarah Adams. Now, listen, the first 2 books, the second book, which is Practice Makes Perfect, was not my favorite. It felt like we were entertaining. It annoyed me. But the first book was phenomenal. So I immediately jumped to the 3rd book because I read the 2nd book first. It's so weird. It's a long story. I'm not getting into it today. But it's so weird. I read the 2nd book first. I thought it was the 1st book. Whatever. First book though. Read the 1st book, When in Rome, which was amazing. And this is Beg, Borrow, or Steal. This is 3 stars. The reason this book is 3 stars is genuinely because it was... So, Sarah Adams writes adult novels. Yes. But usually they're closed door or very low spice. This book was... It didn't focus mainly on the smut of the book. It was actually, I think, only 1 or 2 scenes as usual, but there was a lot of really spicy jokes in the book, and I was just okay, we get it. We can move on now. But we didn't move on. So I was just kind of annoyed There was also some characters in here that just angered me to my core, and also our FMC also kind of got on my nerves a little bit while I was reading, so I was just like, I wasn't having fun during a lot of the book, but it wasn't bad, so it was a 3-star for me. Okay, the second book that I read is The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. This book got 3 stars as well. I know right now it's not sounding like we started off pretty good, but trust me, I have a good reason for this one. This book would have been perfect had there have been no Bible and no Jesus jokes that were blasphemous. There were a few. There were quite a few. And the thing is, I was reading a little bit of this on Kindle because it's on Kindle Unlimited, and those happen to be, according to Kindle, the most highlighted quotes, which was always the most blasphemous quotes. And there was not just one, not just two, but there was like 4 or 5 blasphemous quotes scattered throughout the book, and I was just like, okay, well, I can't enjoy this, so I took off a star. Then this book has a female main character who is a person of color, aka brown-skinned, aka she's an African-American person of color. She's a POC character, right? And she is described to have brown skin, like me. The book, once again, was so good, but it was the inaccurate representation of a person of color in a novel. If you're going to write about something that you are not or something you don't have experience with, do the proper research. There were multiple times in the book where it would go, oh, and she blushed, or oh, I blushed. You cannot blush. You cannot blush. I have never ever seen a black person blush. We cannot do it because it does not show up. We might physically do it, like we can feel ourselves doing it. So when we were in her perspective and she was like, oh, I blushed, I wasn't getting annoyed. But then we'd be in the male main character's perspective and he was like, oh, she's blushing. You cannot see that. We can feel ourselves blushing because we can feel our faces heating up, but it is not a physical trait that we can acquire. It's not visible. And if it is, you have to be this close to see it. So it did anger me because I was just like, okay, well, this is inaccurate. We cannot blush. And then I also was really annoyed because as a Christian myself, as a Christian, I was like, okay, guys, what are the blasphemous jokes for? You don't need blasphemous jokes to make a good book, to make a good anything in any sort of media. But it's so common now. The first 4-star, which was Romeo and Juliet. Now, this specific copy is like the stage play because that's unfortunately the copy that I own. I did not know that. Not like stage play, but it's a script, and I did not know that when I purchased it, but this is what we got. I ended up reading the actual book, and it was, once again, a 4-star. I don't know if I mentioned that. It's a 4-star. But it was like, oh, like when you hear the story of Romeo and Juliet, you just know, oh, these two people like themselves because they love each other. The story is so much more deeper, and it's actually one of the more messier stories I read this month. It was messy. It was a lot going on. I was just like, oh, okay, Shakespeare, I see. Now that I understand every bit of it. No. That's what I was talking about. When I read Little Women, I was scared to read Little Women because whenever I read classics, I cannot understand a single thing that I am reading. Ooh. I don't know what it was back then, but they love to speak in a whole other language and call it English. It's not English. It's not. Okay, but this was good. That is like literally beside the point. This was a good book though. I know once again I said already I had the script version, which I'm pretty sure is the exact same thing, just shows you who's speaking. Doesn't matter. This was good. Fourth book that I read, ooh, this one broke my heart. I've actually been holding out on reading this book for the longest time, but I was just like, girl, you ordered the special editions, the Larry editions. I did order those, and me saying that already probably just told you what the book was, but I've read every single other book in the series except for this one. And that book that I'm talking about right here is Redeeming 6 by Chloe Walsh. This was 5 stars, first of all, to start off. But I read every other book in this series except for this one. I was holding out on this one. I was scared to read this one for the heartbreak. Now, obviously, you guys know I'm a Christian, so a lot was skipped in this book. At one point, I was just like, do I even want to continue? Because the beginning kind of was really heavy on that. But I was just like, oh, okay. We got a lot of cameos of my favorite character Well, not a lot, but we got like 2 or 3. And my favorite character, if you guys are new here, is Lizzie. No Lizzie slander will be tolerated on this channel. Actually, no slander of any of the core 10. Or, I don't even know if you guys consider Joey and Aoife part of like the core group. But no slander on either of those 2 either. And none of the part of the main group, okay? No. What we will accept slander on is Alan. We will accept slander on a lot of the parents, but not Johnny's parents, and not Lizzie's mom. I'll tolerate Lizzie's mom. And the slander for Shannon and Joey's mom, we'll accept a little bit of slander over here. We'll accept a little bit, just a little bit, because she did get on my nerves. And yes, I do know their names, but we're not gonna do a deep dive. This is about Joey and Aoife. Slow your horses, okay? But I was just like, oh, yeah, there was a lot that was skipped during this book. Your girl was just like, oh, well. But this was so, like, hard. This was so heartbreaking. And especially, like, the last 20 chapters, I was just like, oh, girl. Chloe Walsh does not spare your feelings. Like, she doesn't. Please check the trigger warnings for this entire series, not just this book, but the entire series. Between this one and Releasing 10, I personally believe those are the darkest. There's a lot of heavy, dark topics, but the entire series tackles heavy and dark topics. So I would just say, please read the trigger warnings. Like, I'm not even trying to be funny. Do you see my face? Do you see this face? It's not a face of jokes. It is a face of truth. It's a face of truth. The book club book that we read last month, which by the way, go join the book club. This month we read 2 books every month. In case you guys are new here, we switch halfway through. But this month we are currently reading The Do-Over, and then we're also reading Practice Make Perfect. I've already read Practice Make Perfect, but we as a club are reading the whole series so we can read In Your Dreams by Sarah Adams. Whole different story. But join the Fail Book Club, okay? So the 4th book that I read in January was the Fail Book Club book, and this one was so fun. I have the indie version and I have the other version, but I don't know where my traditional copy is. It's somewhere in this pile of books. I'm not doing all that today. I'm not. But this book that I'm talking about is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This was fun. First of all, this was fun. Now, with this book, when you hear the concept of this book, you guys know I don't really do synopses over here, but when you hear the concept of this book, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to like skip a lot. Guys, I skipped like 4 chapters max out of this big book. It was so fun. Now, I will give you guys like a little premise kind of thing. This was fun. Like, I had fun and I giggled and I laughed when I read this book. This book was, I have my notebook here that has like all, like I have my book journal. A book journal where I keep track of my stuff. This book was a 4-star. It was, Out on a Limb was fun. It was upbeat. And it kind of felt like, well, to be fair, yo, I did not see this. Interesting. Book is published in 2023. So you guys know I've been on my search for the perfect book that gives me 2024 vibes. This book was kind of giving it. No jokes, no lies. This was fun. So I do say, if you're interested in reading it, read On a Limb. It's a romance. The 6th book that I read, we're kind of getting into enemy territory real quick, is Mate. Now the next 3 books, this one and the next 2, are the last 3 books that I read in the month of January, and these are the books that are in the reading blog that I was talking about, the TBR takedown. You guys can go watch me read that there, and you guys can have a much more in-depth kind of review of everything, because I'm not going to deep dive in here. You guys can see the deep dive in that actual video, because I did talk about them. So, with that being said, Made by Ali Hazelwood, this got a 3-star. Long story short, at the beginning, it felt like OG Ali Hazelwood, but then after that, it kind of started feeling like a fanfic. Like, it kind of read like a fanfic, and there was a lot of parts that I could not take seriously. Like, she literally, her nickname for him is Alpha. Get out of my face. The 7th book that I read, Not Hungry, by Kate Carius Quinn. This book kind of reads like a poem, as you can see. So I finished this in like an hour. Now I'm about to say 40 minutes, but that's not true. It was like an hour. It took me an hour to read this. It was quick. It was deep. Like, I was just like, oh. Like, I knew what I was getting into, obviously. The only reason I bought this book was because it was on sale and I got it. And I was just like, okay, I hope it's good. So obviously I knew what it was, because if I'm ever scrolling on Amazon or any bookstore and I see a cover that I don't know what it's about, I'm going to read the synopsis. Usually I try to go into books blind, but I read the synopsis for this one, so I knew what I was getting into, but I was just like, oh, wow. And also the cover makes sense when you read the cover. When you read the book, the cover starts to make sense. And the last book that I read, and the only reason I will tell you guys about this one is because I felt very sick, so there was very little parts where I spoke when I read this book. Archer's Voice by 𝘰𝘱𝘦𝘯. This was the last book that I read in the month of January. This book was 4 stars. This book, when people tell you, this is the same thing with Binding 13. People will read this book and they will tell you it's peaches and cream and it's the cutest little romance book you've ever like heard of. The only thing I knew going into this book, or basically I'm gonna tell you what people told me on Book Talk, BookTube, and Instagram, everything. All people would say is it's about a guy who's mute and a girl who knows sign language. They don't tell you why. They just say she knows sign language, and then she moves to town and she talks to him, and it's a sweet, cute, fluffy romance. This was not a sweet, cute, fluffy romance. This was like not a dark romance, but it had dark. It's like, once again, it's like kind of like Binding 13, where it's a lot of dark elements and it's a lot of dark things and a lot of things that are like traumatizing to characters and also can be triggering to people that are discussed in this book. And it's very important, like I don't even know if the trigger warnings are in here, but there's a lot of talk of rape. There's a lot of talk of murder and death and grief. And then there's also a lot of violence. There was a lot of violent flashbacks and a lot of violent descriptions and a lot of things to describe what made our male main character mute, and that was a very violent story. So just a little warning for when you go into this, because it's not the sweet, cute book that people try to tell you that it is, because it's not sweet, it's not cute, and it's not to be messed around with. So that is all 8 books that I read in the month of January. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys read any of these, tell me what you thought of whatever book, and tell me your favorite or least favorite book that you read in the month of January. Love you all so much. Jesus loves you more. Made out kisses. Mwah. Maddie out, and goodbye.